Chicago 45. I am your host, Darae. And then we also have, nobody other than Jaida, the producer of the show. She runs the place. She is the mama of everything. And we have some pretty dope people with us tonight. Be aware of the ladies with all the flowers and the roses and the leaves and the gardens behind them. They are Erykah Badu cousins. They are very dangerous. Stay away from those ladies. So we got Mary Brooks and we got Erykah. They BFFs. And then we have two young gentlemen. I think Lorenzo's older than me. Well, we got Lorenzo Logan, soon to be father to be. I'm gonna give you a book that I made of how to not be a bad father, which is be a good dad as much as possible. Then we got Langston Kennedy, my homie from California, and also my boss. So don't get me in trouble, y'all. Please don't. He will fire me. All right. So don't get me in trouble today. All right. So we are here today to talk about some tough topics. Without further ado, I'm going to hop in and I'm going to ask the first question. Or no, Jaida, you ask the first question. You ask that first question.
Okay. Okay, should the quality of life dictate whether or not a woman should get an abortion?
Is that question directed towards anybody particular person or
anybody?
I think it depends. And I actually had kind of brainstormed some things. I think it really, first of all, it depends on the support that the woman has. It depends on their living situation. It also depends on their mental space, because you have to be not just mentally, but physically ready to raise a child. And then to refrain from getting in this predicament, you practice safe sex. So I think it just really, on my end, I think it just depends on the person and how their surroundings is and their support in their living situation.
Yeah, I was thinking the same thing. Like when you say quality, like what's quality to me may not be what's quality to you, or may not be what society deems is a quality lifestyle. So I can't really say that is something that's supposed to be a gift from God, if that is the situation, because we know there's other situations, how people, whether it's, molestation or rape or anything like that. But if it's a happy accident, because sometimes they don't always be playing, I don't really know, like, I don't believe I can say whether it, the quality of life has anything to do with whether they should get an abortion or not. Now, are we talking like, yes. Are we being specific, like someone that's homeless and has no support, and you know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
Go ahead, Langston.
I would say yes. I would say the quality of life does determine, because, of course, financial establishment comes into effect. And like Mary was saying, depending on mental state as well, I believe all that qualifies as quality of life. If someone's quality of life isn't up to par with raising other children or raising a child, you're bringing a child into this world who, is now struggling like you are, is scraping the bottom. And we would hate to see children go through, living in bad situations, not being able to eat, not being able to survive, going into gangs, living through the street because the parents aren't able to provide. So I would say, yes, the quality of life does come into effect, especially when, like, for instance, me and my wife, when we think about having a child, we have 3 right now. Quality of life definitely came into the conversation when it was time to have it. Although it is her decision, it's her body. If she wants to have it or not, she's gonna be the main, as you say, deciding factor. But the male has a opinion on it as well, because fathers need to raise children as well. So I would say yes to answer the question.
Jaida, can you repeat the question for me one more time? I want to make sure that I understand.
Question is, should quality of life dictate whether or not a woman should get an abortion?
Now, it's some strong words being utilized, and I really wanted you to repeat that because it says dictate, right? Now, in my opinion, I don't believe that the quality of life should dictate anything when it comes to that. The reason why I would say that because quality of life can improve, and there can be multiple barriers that plays a role in that. I think it's highly circumstantial because it depends on the timeline of that individual's life. You know, like I think that it depends on their predicament, how many their support system, a lot of different things. You know what I mean? So I wouldn't say that it would dictate it. It's a factor, but it also depends on if we have the perspective to tap into those resources that, you know, other people may not have access to. I think it's about that, knowing your inventory first, you know, in my opinion.
Okay, well, I'm gonna tell you guys right now, my whole job right now is to play devil's advocate. That is my only job, is to play devil's advocate. So you mentioned about the quality of life. So what if quality of life is so cut in stone, is going to be what it's going to be, let's say for a young Black girl in a poverty-stricken neighborhood where the resources are not around you, you can't get to it, and your situation is not going to get better. That quality of life, does it then dictate whether or not that girl should or could have an abortion? Because there's going to be some situations where if a young girl who's 15, I don't see where her situation gets any better. Now, over time, we may think like in a social, and our culture, you know, things get better because we're forced to, you know, get better. But what is really better when you had to be a kid, raise another child, and you never was afforded the opportunities as a person who was 14 without a child? So does quality of life then dictate whether or not an abortion should be, you know, in conversation or whatever the case could be?
I think this is such an interesting question, and I think it could go on, like there's so many layers to it. Like, for example, I know of a woman, she's a woman now, but who had her daughter when she was 13 years old. And it wasn't sweet, you know. She didn't come from a family that was wealthy or anything like that. It was a low income family, working family though. She had to go to school, come right home, take care of her baby at 13, like my daughter's 11. I can't even imagine, you know what I mean? Continue to have to take care and raise a child who was really like a sibling, right? All through grade school, all through high school, went on through college. No one was taking care of her baby because she would, you know, she had parents who were like, that's your kid. She goes with you. You going to school, the baby going with you. I mean, now she owns a house and she owns 3 cars. It has perfect credit, and her children have everything that they could ever want or imagine in life. So it's really hard. Once again, like I have to agree with Lorenzo, we're using some really strong words, which is dictate. And I try to practice not to be judgmental of others, but yet to kind of just observe a situation. So I don't think it's fair for us to use the word dictate to kind of count somebody out as if there's no possibilities of them making it in spite of their situation. You know what I mean?
Because some things can be for you. You know, it's like it's almost like going into a movie right in the middle and thinking that we understand the whole movie, when the best part is really at the end when they overcome all of the obstacles, and you're like, yeah, you know what I mean? But
to combat that, how many? So if it's 10 stories like that, how many do we think could be successful?
Well, it could be 5 out of 10.
If it's 5 out of 10, that's a good number, 50%.
Nope, 3. Well, Darae, you're painting a picture.
Go ahead, Langston.
You're painting a picture, but paint us the whole picture. Tell us exactly what the young lady, what'd you say, 13 or 15? What's her mental state? What's her family? Does she have a support? So give us the whole picture.
I would say for a girl who's 13, or for anybody who's 13, they're adolescents still. They are very, very still a baby, and in respects to them. they don't know what's going on. And then 13, if you've had a baby at 13, there's a lack of education that was given to you as far as sex.
Yeah,
So
for
your whole idea of what's going on is totally uneducated, skewed, and so many things. Who at 13, you don't even know how to like formulate a complete idea.
Is the
Well,
father in the picture?
the father is not in the picture, was not in the picture. And from 13, I put it to you like this. When we had this conversation many, many years ago, she did not feel like she could actually do this until she got into her early 20s. So from 13 to her early 20s, clearly she was in a defeated mindset. Somewhat of a, some people would probably, doctors would probably categorize it as a depression. I can't do this. I can't. It didn't click until her 20s. I can do this. Oh shit, I've been doing this. You know what I mean? So that's a lot on the psyche. I feel like that. I don't think that's even something to take lightly, because to go that many years doubting yourself in something that you're actually doing, but you can't even see yourself doing it because society said you was too damn young to have kids.
Mm-hmm.
Family said you too damn young. We say you too damn young. The body is saying you're too damn young, and then you're like, I'm too damn young. What I shouldn't have. I shouldn't. 15 years later, I guess I should. Oh wait, I do. So I think that kind of paints a picture of the mentality. Like, yes, her mother and her father were around, but they did not step up. Like, they legit took a step back, which took a toll on them to have to see their child, you know what I mean? Like, have to struggle. And, as women, what do we want to do? We want to jump in. We want to do this, but then really we just want to be like, okay, but be like, no, she got to go through that because she did that at 13 as a child. You know what I mean? So
can I ask Mary and Erica a question just to push the needle a little further? Erica, you said you got a daughter, right?
I have a girl and a boy.
Okay, cool. This is perfect then. This is perfect. Your daughter get pregnant at 13. What do you prescribe to her? Well, Alicia is what? Alicia is 15.
She's 16.
She's 16.
Go on YouTube. Go on YouTube.
Do you
Go on
say?
YouTube.
Do you say? Oh no. What's your game plan going in? Because this is like important. Because if that does happen, not saying it happened to you, it's important because we're talking about that support system. It's important to hear how a mother would talk to her daughter who's 14, 15, and that gets in this kind of situation. What would you?
Well, of course, the things that are going through my head hopefully won't come out of my mouth.
First, we gonna call each other. First, we gonna call each other.
Yeah, we gonna call each other. She piggyback off me
to bring it down.
I don't know. I think like the first thought would be I would kind of be angry, but then on the other hand, it's like, okay, well, it was something maybe that I didn't teach her, or it was something that I was lacking to give to her. So now I have to think about all these different thoughts. Like, I can't lash out on her because I don't know where my child is mentally. So my first thought now is I would probably just be right.
Come on, me.
I have to ask that.
Be right.
I have to.
So I was 19 when I first got pregnant. And my mom was like extorted. Like, she was trying to make me get an abortion and like, you just started school, you this, that, and the other. So I think I just kind of look back on that. And then I just handle things differently with my daughter. I would literally have to just sit down and have a deep conversation with her. Like, is this something that you feel you'll be able to go through? Like, I have talks with them all the time. You making me speechless. I have talks with them all the time, and that will just be another conversation. Like,
Darae, can I ask her a question, because I feel like I feel what she, you know, I feel. I just want to say it's good to see y'all too, man. Like I haven't seen y'all in so long. Man, how important is your spiritual guidance in crucial moments like this? Because I feel like a lot of external situations reveal a lot about us internally. You know, they sort of like reveal what we're going through and where we are, what we sometimes think we are in our mind, or our, you know, us guys, our ego for the most part, you know. But how important do you think that your spiritual guidance is in scenarios like this?
Well, first of all, I strongly have faith in God. So I think that's another reason where my conversation would come in at, like, I would just have to bring myself back together and actually have a conversation with God, because I have those anyway. So then at that moment, I'll just have a conversation with God and just like, you know, Lord, give me the words to say to my child without being so harsh, you know, because I just always teach them that everybody makes mistakes, and unfortunately you have to learn from your mistakes, you know. So I'll just let the Lord lead me, honestly.
Hey, that's a great answer. Let the Lord lead. Hey,
He's the only one. He's the only one that can lead me.
Erica, you had your hand like you wanted to say something.
Oh, no, I was scratching my head.
Oh.
I did not have my hand up. No, that is a very hard question to answer. Actually, when you first asked the question, the first thought that popped in my head is take it to the Lord in prayer. And I thought it in my head in like a funny way, you know, like you better take it to the Lord in prayer. And then it wasn't funny to me anymore. So I think that maybe that was the thought that was given to me. And that probably would have to be my first move. You know, while I'm going through my emotions of this has happened, that would be the first move that I would have to do, is kind of
Take it to the Lord in prayer.
Yeah, have a conversation with God, and, you know, and just hear what his guidance is on this. He doesn't make any mistakes. There's a lesson attached to everything, the good and the bad. And I'm thankful that I'm in a position where if I ask him a question, I can legit hear what he has to say to me. So I would definitely have to go to him first, and then Lex will be second.
You can call me third. You can call me third.
Is it gonna call you? Be like, get the show together. I need to talk to somebody. No, but yeah, no. Seriously, like that would be my first thing. Is talking to God, and, you know, and seeing what is the direction in this? How do you want me to move in this? And then, you know, with my my boyfriend, having a conversation with him, because he's just as spiritual as I am. So it might be a conversation together. That's a hard thing to, you know.
Yeah.
That's why I asked it. Lorenzo, great follow-up question too. Hey, Keyshawn, can you hear us? Can you hear me, Keyshawn?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay, cool. Hey, thank you for joining us, Key. You got the gold on. That's my guy right there. That's my little baby right there. Hey, Key, I'm gonna give you this weird question for you, and I'm gonna give it up to you. And I feel like Langston and Lorenzo are gonna probably follow behind you. Should men have a say in abortions and what women do with their body?
I don't know. Men shouldn't have a say.
Okay, Paul, for you. Okay, I should have paused you for you answer that. Let's say, how old are you again?
23.
23. Let's say your girlfriend get pregnant, and you was like, "Oh, this is a good question. This is a good question." Let's say your girlfriend gets pregnant. She's laughing. She's laughing. For those who don't know the inside scoop, she's laughing. Let's say your girlfriend gets pregnant, and she's like, "Man,
right,
I want to keep the baby." Do you voice your opinion? Let's say you say in your mind you're not ready. Do you voice your opinion, or you just?
Or she thinks she don't want to keep it. Do you voice your opinion also? Like, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, both ways. Key, what do you do?
Either way.
I mean, it's always a discussion to have, but I mean, it depends on what the female, like how the female feel, you know? Because I mean, that can be like a stressful thing to handle. I feel like
Okay.
so.
So you said you taking the high road. Well, not the high road. You're gonna take the listen approach and
Yeah.
not give answers.
Right.
Okay. Well, Langston, you got 3 kids. Have you ever been in a situation where you was like, "Hey, put my foot down. I ain't doing this one."
All 3 times. and more. And the reason why is because, one, I feel like I'm the head of the household, but also my wife is the head of the household. So just like she has an opinion, I do as well, and we make a decision together. Whatever decision with as far as making a baby is a family decision that we will both have to make and both have to live with. Ultimately, it's her body. So ultimately, she is going to make the decision she feels comfortable with. But she will ask my opinion. I will give it. So that's my take on that standpoint.
Okay.
That's great standpoints, man. I'm just not having. I'm just not, Langston. I'm just not having my first kid, bro. Any day now, she'll be here, man.
Congratulations, my
Appreciate
brother.
that, bro. Appreciate that.
Congratulations.
But look, man, I'm just the type of guy. Look, I was fortunate to be the last out of 5 kids, man. My mama was born 51, so she was old school. My oldest brother, old enough to be my dad. And I just feel like if it's me and my situation, like I'm with you, like me and my girl, you know, my wife, actually, we both are the heads of the household. But it's like I'm an advocate for the shorty. I'm right. Man, look, come on. We gonna do what we gotta do to make this happen. Look, we did this. Look, it's a gift from God. Hallelujah. You feel me? Like, this is how I see it. Like, man, we gotta rock. We gonna, if it happened, a way's gotta be made. You feel me?
And that's another thing. It also depends on your readiness. Like Lorenzo, you say this is your first baby. A lot of people long to have their first baby. They're, as what they call it, the love child. You know, so I guess it just depends on the person. You know, when I got pregnant, and then I was pregnant with twins. So it was like a boom, boom, boom.
Right.
So you guys can only imagine. I was just like, a what? Twin what? A and what? And at that time, I didn't think I was ready. You know, but I made the decision to keep them. And just learning from my mom, like my mom she's such a strong woman, and I piggyback off her a lot, which made me a strong woman. And now these kids is about to be 17, trying to work and everything else. Not to toot my own horn, but I just pat myself on the back because I did that. You know what I'm saying? So, you know, it just depends on the person if you're ready. Even if you're not ready and you decide to have a baby, sometimes when you have a baby, it teaches you lessons and it helps you grow. Like me and my kids, we kind of grew together. You know, we grew up together. I learned from them. They learned from me.
On next, we're going to take a slight left. So we're all living through this current pandemic. We got COVID-19 from last year. Now we on COVID 2020 because there's a new strand out right now. They just keep getting, you know, stronger and stronger on us. And we've all been locked up in the house. Me and Langston talk a lot at work, like, you know, man, I'm sick of I'm so tired of her. She said one more thing to me about washing these dishes. Do it. So we all been at that point where it's like, you know what? It's either you or me. How has COVID and the lockdowns and the pandemic affected your daily relationships, whether it be with family, friends, and most importantly, your companion, your loved one? How has that like shaped the relationship? Did it make it, you know, stronger? Because this is probably the hardest thing your relationship been through since the babies. This is hard. So how has everybody's relationship, you know, either blossomed or just failed?
Honestly, I wouldn't say any of my relationships like kind of failed or like blossomed during this time. Especially like during school. I mean, I've been online, so I barely see people. Having my mom as a nurse, I barely go anywhere. So it's like pros and cons of having her as a nurse. Sometimes she's like, okay, and sometimes like, no, because COVID. So it's like, I barely do anything. I feel like I've gotten closer with like friends and family for sure over the time, just by like having like different conversations and like just having time spent with them when I can. And it makes me like value more of like family time and friendship time, because it's like you never know what will happen. And yeah, that's really it.
For sure.
I think
Yes,
D-Ray,
girl.
for sure,
Yeah.
kudos. My fault, bro.
Oh no, go ahead, Lorenzo.
I asked her because I knew that it would be about priorities, you know what I mean? And like circumstantially, like just how she alluded to, like, yo, this time been for me to really tune into my priorities, family, this, X, Y, and Z. So I feel like it's exposed a lot about me and my baby, you know what I mean? And like really taking out the time to like find my pace, my pulse, you know what I mean? My flow with myself is really like allowed me to be the best version of myself to her, and realizing that she deserved the best versions of me at all times, no matter how much stress I undergo, no matter how much, you know what I mean? And it's like, the more, it's weird because this is as much time I've spent like, you know, isolated, but it's also been a time to sort of like tune in to that intentionally. So for me, for the most part, I think it's been a good thing, you know, like using them tools to the best of their benefit.
Okay. Erica, what about you? Because you seem like you probably got like a baton in your house where somebody getting your nerve, you may pop them real quick. What about you?
No, you know what? I was being labeled as happy and quarantined. I really enjoyed the quarantine. I had a lot of time for like, my life is always go, 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 go. It's always in constant speed. Like at the cosmetology school, it's a great job because yesterday will be nothing like tomorrow and vice versa. Like every day is a wild card. We never know what's going to happen. So for everything to stop for the first time in how long have we been working? It felt really nice. And it allowed me some time to just do some dirty work, self-reflecting on myself. It wasn't very pretty, but it was much needed. And it allowed my relationship with my boyfriend, because we do live together, like we grew tremendously, and things got ugly and things were beautiful, and we learned better, learned even more about each other's, love language, and how to communicate with each other and how to read each other when he needs space, because sometimes he needs space and that has nothing to do with me, and sometimes I need space and it has nothing to do with him. And but some things did get ugly, like we had arguments, not a lot, we literally had 2, but they were probably built up, you know what I mean, like this is actually from 3 months ago, but we're going to talk about it right now type of thing. So it was a very great growth opportunity for the 2 of us, and I don't regret a single second of it. I am so thankful for the time that we had to just be still. And then with my kids, like I get my kids up. We used to take them to school. I would be at work all day to about 5 or 6. Get them from aftercare, go home, do your homework, take a bath, eat your food, go to bed. I was with them for like maybe 3 to 4 hours a day. So going from that pattern since they were little to being able to be with them all day long and spend time and have all the kids together, that was probably the closest we'll get to heaven in a long time. It was beautiful. I loved it.
Keyshawn, you away, and where you at again, Keyshawn? What school?
I'm in Iowa.
Iowa, Mount Mercy, right?
Yeah.
How has COVID affected you? Because you're away from home. I mean, you come home when you want to, but you're still away. How has that affected you and your relationships with your loved ones and things like that?
It's kind of tough. So I mean, I had COVID at a point around Thanksgiving when you're supposed to be spending time with your family, but I had to basically just isolate myself. It's just like when you have to isolate yourself and make you feel like you alone, like you don't have nobody. But then like like when you good, like when you quarantine with your family, like I feel like it brought us closer because I'm always like away. So like it felt good. I feel like it's just different sides of it.
So who's had like an actual not like you guys didn't have a rough time. Who's had like a miserable time in quarantine? Nobody? Or is
My
everybody?
kids are annoying. Sometimes I just want to kick it with my wife, man, and you just got babies just yapping and daddy, need this, need that. Oh my goodness, my kids are annoying. So although we got to spend a lot of time with them and got to see their strengths and their flaws in school, I don't know what they be doing in school. I don't know if my teachers are teaching them or what, because they don't seem like they know anything.
You're like,
So-
she can't read.
Yeah, like
Oh man.
and then it's so hard to throw a kid's birthday party during quarantine when the grandparents can't be there and your older aunties and stuff can't be there. That was tough. Also, the kids like to play outside, and once a kid in the neighborhood catches quarantine, can't nobody go outside and play. Kids are stuck in the house. So I think my kids hated it. But for me, I'm a homebody, so it was cool for me.
Hey, Mary, I got a question for you. This is
Okay.
a topic, right? But I remember me and you, we had like a little it wasn't a problem, right? We was good.
A little miscommunication.
Miscommunication, you know, we met each other at that wall. It was like a stare down. But I would think every interaction with somebody is a relationship, right? Whether it was like a boyfriend-girlfriend relationship or me, you know, being a teacher, we had a relationship. Everybody has a relationship with one another. Talking about relationships, doing an actual relationship where there's a love person, and you guys are intimate, like intimate with one another. Does there need to be a partner who is submissive in the relationship? Got on the phone with my mom today before you go. My mom was like, yeah, somebody got to do it. I was like, oh, like that's tough,
Your mom
mom.
is so funny.
Somebody got to be submissive. She said, somebody got to do it. You can't have, you know, two chefs in the kitchen. And I'm like, that's a wild way to think of it. So I want to get you guys' takes on being in a relationship. Do somebody need to be submissive, or both parties can work and be, like you guys said, the head of the household?
You mean two alphas?
Yeah. Two alphas, two chefs in the kitchen.
I'm gonna say yes and no. Okay, and I'm gonna give you a reason for both.
Okay.
I'm gonna say yes because
You wrote notes down?
I was
Girl,
ready.
hey,
Do
you
hear
tough.
me? I was ready.
I like this.
Come on, sis. What you got?
I come prepared.
I love the mindset. The mindset is awesome.
Section
I'm saying-
chapter 2.7.
I know, right?
That's leadership.
Okay, so I'm gonna say yes because sometimes you can have a partner, okay, that may not have the same drive that you have to like handle certain situations in a relationship. One person can be stronger than the other, and they need that person to lead them. Not to say that like you're gonna run behind them and do everything they say, but they need that lead, and they need the person behind them to say, okay, well, I'm going to support you in your lead. You know what I'm saying? So sometimes you need that support and that stability from your partner, your love partner. I'm gonna say no, because in most situations, there can be two strong-minded people in a relationship. And those individuals in a relationship, like in most cases, they tend to figure out ways to lead each other. It's all about communication, you know, and just talking with one another and say, hey, we're going to make this decision. Do you agree? Okay, boom, I'm going to agree. You know, so it has a lot to do with communication.
Big facts.
I feel like with the having two alpha people in a relationship, it no longer becomes about leading, it becomes about controlling, because I feel like I'm powerful enough and you feel like you're powerful enough, and now this has become very toxic. But I do think when you get in a relationship with someone, and a love relationship as we're calling it,
I like that.
I know, a love relationship. I do think that when you find the right person, that, you know, the synchronicity is just on point, that even if he is a strong person and she is a strong person, she is willing to say, you know what, I'm gonna let you lead. And I got you from the back. You know what I mean? Like, I got you from the back. And I'll follow you. You know what I mean? And I'll ride out with you. But I'm gonna still tell you when you're wrong, you know, and I'm gonna tell you when you're right, and I'm gonna celebrate you when you're great, you know, type of thing. And so I do think that, you know, that, yeah, I think that one of the two people has to be submissive to the other. And again, I don't think that being submissive has to do with controlling the other. I think it has to do with the trust. Do you trust me to lead? Do you trust me to make sound decisions that are going to protect us and whatever? And if I'm wrong, I can still say, hey, you know, he was wrong about that. I'm not gonna humiliate you.
You know you done fucked up, right?
You know you fucked up, right? We're gonna let it go. I ain't gonna hang it over you, but you know you fucked up. So yeah, I think there can't be two alphas. And look, in the jungle, lions will go at it. It's not even possible.
Yo,
Go ahead, brother.
appreciate it. Word. Yo, wow, man. I think that both of us have to be able to be submissive. I would say that, because in my opinion, bro, it's some things that my girl can do and rock that I can't even touch. I just ain't wired like that. So it's like, for me, who's ever able to actually show the vulnerability, who's ever able to access that space healthily, if that's a word, I think that's strength. I think that requires strength to be submissive, to know that you can't execute. And it's like, if Shorty about to get in there and hit the collard greens with the neck bone smoke with the, I can't do it like her.
Can't do it.
You got that, babe? I salute to you, you know what I mean? But I feel like it's just about knowing yourself, man. Like, for me, like, it ain't even no ego thing. For me, I used to be on some, man, alpha, walk the band with the, man, look, that shit toxic, it's draining. Man, look,
and it can be draining for your relationship too.
Yeah, like, babe, I can't do that. Come on, we can learn together. Let's go on LinkedIn and learn, and YouTube, Google, you know what I mean? But
I like the idea of two alphas in a relationship. For me, that's just a power couple. It just ring strength. It ring maturity. It takes a mature person to let someone else lead you, and then you turn around the next day or the next second and lead them in something you are knowledgeable in, and something you know, and something you can own. Me and my wife, that's why I say we both had a house, so we both alphas. She's strong, and I am too. But it takes an alpha to pass ownership to one of your team members and let them lead and let them grow and let them make mistakes. It takes an alpha to do that. It takes a leader to know when you need to step back and improve your team. So I say, yeah, two alphas, 100%. I like that. That just sounds
awesome.
Nice. There's no
it's a good
weakness.
T-shirt right there, Chad.
There's no weakness.
Okay, I like that. I like that. But do we feel like that's a real thing? Because I feel like, as in our culture, as far as Black men and just men in general, we're not trained to be submissive. We're not told you should be submissive. So I hear that we can say it, but do we act on those things, or are we selective with being submissive to our women?
Hey, Darae, but on the real though, bro, it depends, dog. Like, because
I'm just asking questions. I'm just asking.
No, that's valid though, because like, look, bro, like, okay, look, man, it's so much trauma that we've endured over the years, just thinking that the right way to do things is like the right way. But in reality, a lot of us still deal with things the way we used to deal with it when we was 14, 15, 16 years old. and really had the opportunity to learn how to cultivate those things out of our system. Like, not to get biblical, but it said I had to put childish things aside. They just don't go away by themselves. You got to learn how to put those things aside. And like some of my bros and them still be on under the, I'll be like, look, fam, man, look, I ain't on none of that. Y'all tripping. But it's that same mindset that allows them to think that the same behaviors are still, you know what I mean? I don't know, bro. I don't want to get too, I know I can go up.
You gotta
Lex, I'm gonna put you on
know
the
it
spot,
for
Lex.
yourself.
Hey, Lex, I'm gonna put you on the
Know
spot.
Go ahead.
So
go ahead.
we spoke about gender roles the other day. If having gender, if we have gender roles in place, doesn't that take away that submissive act? Because if we have, like, when you have your role, you do this, and you have this, that's when it becomes very selective. Because we spoke about, you were like, hey, there is a in your space, and then like things you learned over the years where, you know, they should do this and I should do this. Doesn't that kind of go to my point as far as we're being submissive selective? Like, we're selectively submissive when we want to be.
100%. Even with having two alphas, there is a time when you do need to be submissive as an alpha. There is general specific roles, and we talked a little about earlier when I believe you asked me if I'm listening to the song WAP.
Wow.
Right. I'm banging that in the whip, and my daughter wants to roll with me. I'm not gonna play that song. And you was like, why? You know, you was asking like, why not introduce that to her? You know, you playing it and stuff, and that's, I would rather have my wife introduce that to her, or if the conversation comes up, I feel like she would be a better person to have that conversation with her off the rip, and then I come in on the back end and clean up. Then me start that conversation with her, and I would have that conversation for my boys, and she would come in the back end and clean up for that. So yeah, I think it all intertwines, and it takes maturity. But we all still alphas. Like, everybody on this call is like an alpha to me.
Man, I'm growing, bro. Like, I ain't even gonna stunt with you. Like, I'm learning so much about myself. Like, even during this quarantine, bro, like, the more that I find myself around other iron for steel to sharpen steel, the more I'm able to be like, you know what, damn, and I've been doing that wrong. You know what I mean? Or I've been, you know, and like, to be real with you, I'm finding that I have more freedom and vulnerability. Like, because life is constantly showing me that, bro, you can't do nothing without, you know,
Those
what I
are
mean?
facts.
You can't do nothing without the power. You can't do none without God. So it's like, it's constantly causing me to be like, man, I ain't with all that poking my chest shit out no more, because I'm gonna change. I ain't the same was. I feel like, bro, like it's crazy, but it's like different circumstances have the power to really, like sister, I'm sorry, help me out, Erica. Yes, like you were saying, like doing the isolation, self-reflection, like it's a beautiful thing. You know what I mean? It's a real beautiful thing. So like, sometimes I can't even say that I'm an alpha, and I mean that, like, in an honest way. I mean that I'm a leader, but certain circumstances have knocked me on my ass. Like, I want no alpha when my mama passed. You know?
But I think like the point to remember is, like, a great leader has the ability to lead, but they also have the ability to fall in the back and follow when they need to. A great leader is able to show that they're vulnerable and say, I need help. You know what I mean? Like, that doesn't make you weak, that makes you strong. Like, confessing that you're not perfect and confessing that you have problems and weaknesses makes you stronger than probably 90% of civilization, who everyone puts on this face that I'm great, I'm good, I'm whatever. You know, I tell my students all the time, I was like, I had a conversation with myself and realized I'm bitter. I had no clue I was bitter. I'm happy 98% of the time, but I'm bitter. And this, I figured out where that bitter root came from. And now I have to address that, because I feel responsible. Like, I feel like I have to be good, because everything around me that's connected to me, I don't want to give any of that to anybody. You know what I mean? But I digress. That was very powerful what you just said. And I want to make sure you understand that your weakness has nothing to do with your ability to lead or have power. Like, you still have power.
Yes, indeed.
Makes you stronger. Makes you stronger. God gave me that gift. He gave me that gift to strengthen you,
Told y'all,
continue
ladies,
your alpha.
I told y'all, ladies with plants behind them, they speaking to you like Erykah Badu. They speaking to you. You got earrings and everything, and she got a whole botanical
Hey,
garden
look,
in her.
it's plastic.
Hey, it don't even care if it's plastic. It's there. It's aesthetic purposes and it serves its purpose.
This is real.
That feng shui.
Hey, before I let you guys go, I always tend to touch on the topic of race. I know Jaida be like, she be calling me like a racist and stuff like that. I'm like, no, I'm not. I'm just really, really into learning more and more about the Black persons, the Black plight, the diaspora, all of these things I'm so into and learning more about. 2021. 2020 was a very scary year, in my opinion, for Black people. Do we feel like 2021 is a scary time for Black people? Because not much has changed from last month. We're still on the bottom of the totem pole as far as finances. We're shitty medical, shitty schooling. We're still on the bottom of that. There's still Black men and Black women getting gunned down by police in the street as we speak to this day. Breonna Taylor murderers are still free. So do you, as a Black person, do you feel like 2021 is just as bad as it was for 2020? Do you feel any hope? Tell me where I should be thinking that. Get me out of this scary place, or keep me in this scary place. Keyshawn, you over there at Dakota somewhere. Do you feel like, oh man,
Not Dakota.
yeah, here in North Dakota, right? North Dakota, wherever you at, it's
Iowa.
white. It's white. Iowa is white.
Yeah, Iowa.
White is white. Do you feel like
Cornfields.
it's scary still? Because not like was it January 6th when they stormed the Capitol? Did nothing happen?
I mean, I feel like, yeah, it's scary now. I mean, I feel like it's always gonna be scary. I feel like us Black people was gonna always go through these times. Like, I mean, as much as we wanted to change, we just gotta, I mean, just stick together. I mean, that's what it is, really. I mean, cause who will have our back if we don't got each other back? I mean, so that's what I feel like.
And that's the whole thing about like having each other's back. You know what I'm saying? Because a lot of us don't have each other's back. I feel like sometimes we can get greedy. Sometimes we can have a jealous spirit. And we don't want to, and most of us don't want to see each other rise. Now, don't get me wrong, not all Black people, but it's some. You know, and it's a certain generation who wants, but don't want to give. I think when it has to start with us, it begins with us. If we come together and don't get me wrong, the Black Lives Matter, you know, they march, but did they really hear us? And why didn't they hear us? Because we still killing each other. At the end of the day, we still killing each other. So, and let me tell y'all something. I saw this video, and it was a KKK, and they was interviewing him, and one thing that stuck to me was he said, "We don't have to kill Black people. They kill up each other. All I got to do is go to Chicago." He live in Wisconsin. He said, "All I got to do is go to Chicago, drop off the guns and the drugs, and let them just kill up each other." That was a big eye opener. Like, wow, are we weak-minded? You know, like we just at one point we got to come together and start supporting each other.
Go ahead, Langston.
I feel that, and I'm like really thinking because I'm listening to you, Mary, and when you said there's some who ain't with us, my first thought was fuck them, right? But then I'm thinking I can't give up on my own. But then if you let snakes in your garden, you ain't gonna have a garden for too much longer. I think it is scary. I think 2021, I think this generation, I think it's going to be scary for Black people in general because the system's not built for us. Like you said, Mary, all a white person got to do is drop some guns in Chicago and some drugs, and we killing each other. But they built that system to keep us down. That's them. Even though we are weak-minded, at times we have strong ones, and we do need to stick together 100%. But there's some you can't save. There's some that are I mean, there's some that the devil got a hold of and they don't want to be saved. So me and Darae had this conversation earlier because I have a gun in my home and I'm looking to get my carry and conceal. And my wife is like, don't do it. She's Caucasian, by the way. But she's like, don't do it because it's going to give the police another right to just shoot you. But I'm fearful, and I'd rather be caught with it than without it.
Yeah.
So I'm debating about that. But Darae was like, nah, bro, because I ain't fucking with the guns. But it's protection for me. I'd rather keep it on me.
You heard, man. Hey, Darae, that was a powerful question, man. I feel like, bro, I'm hopeful. Can't help but to be hopeful. You feel me? Like, man, I don't know how it's gonna turn out. Like, man, it's been tough out here, bro. You know, I've been working out here with the shorties. I had a program in the juvenile detention center after I left St. Angela's with these guys right here, Bill. And a lot of the shorties really didn't even understand the principles. They didn't even understand where I was coming from. It was like a foreign language to them for the most part. You feel me? And although it was hard for me, but I had to accept it. I have to emotionally accept the fact that, like you said, bro, I can't save all of them. And when I went to my bed, I had to go back to the principles that was governing me to give me the energy to be able to do this in the first place. Like, I think it depends on what doctrine is the foundation of, like, why you do what you do, or why do you care? You know what I mean? Because it's like, it's certain Black folks, I'm gonna keep 100 with you. We don't share the same principles, and you'll end up arguing with somebody based off of a principle that they don't even agree with you. So you set yourself up to leave with a headache because they don't even agree with the principle that you standing on. So I don't know, bro. Like, to go to your question, Mary, as sad as it may seem, that the reason why we come together is because a lot of us don't stand for the same causes.
Erica, you want to chime in?
I definitely think it's scary, but I'm not like scared. I am hopeful. I can see that there is a light at the end of the tunnel, and it's not a bright light, but it's a flicker. So that's all I need, is to know that there is something at the end. And the reason I'm hopeful is because I see so much growth in the people around me and just in their mindsets. And that's the first place, you know what I mean? And me and Mary, Lex, we're talking about it earlier, because I'm one of those people, I'm going to say what I feel. Like, if I feel like you're amazing, I'm going to call you up randomly and be like, hey, you're amazing. No, everything's fine. I'm not dying. I just want to tell you something, whatever. And I'm just seeing so much growth in people around me, like, and that's all it takes. I mean, even the comment that Lorenzo's saying, I got it. Like, iron sharpens iron. Like, be around the people who are like-minded like you. Be around the people that influence you, type of thing. And people are slowly getting it. And that's all like, if we can shift the mindset little by little, it may not change nothing in 2021, maybe not in 2022, but we didn't say nothing was going to be fixed in a year. You know what I mean? So I am hopeful. And a lot of people are becoming, are just really starting to find their power and kind of understand their power and admit their truths and where they need healing and stuff. And that is the very first step. You know what I mean? So I'm hopeful.
Jaida, are you hopeful, young lady? Or you out here with the 30 pop on you?
That's the 30 pop.
I feel like it's kind of hard to say for me, because I mean, the cow, they have some racist people out here, like, driving around with Confederate flags on their car, like Trump stickers on their car. But then again, it's like you see a lot of Black folks out here too. So it's kind of confusing at the same time. It's like, but I mean, I'm hopeful in a way. At the same time, it's kind of like iffy. Especially for me, like within school, as an example, like in nursing. I mean, it's a few Black people there, but most of my classes, I'm the only like Black girl in my group or whatever. And like, yeah, to some Black people, I may not seem as like dark, but to white folks, I'm dark. Like, so it's kind of scary to me, especially because now I'm in clinical. So like, I never had a real interaction with a real patient. So this would be my first time. So I really don't know what to expect. I don't know if I get like a racist comment or like, oh, don't touch me. So like, I don't know. Like, I don't know what to expect. So I guess I'm hopeful in a way that it's not like that, and people are actually like just see others as human beings. But it's kind of hard to say.
You
Hey.
are the change, sister. You are the change.
I think for me, I'm not hopeful. I'm not hopeful at all. I think I'm more into the work, because hope, we've been having hope for a long time. It may work in certain pockets, but I'm more into like the work that I can do, because I don't think for me personally, I don't think I'm gonna see a change in my lifetime. I'm just, if I work hard enough, maybe my kids will see the fruits of my labor, because I'm just not hopeful. Because if we look at this past election, 70 million people voted for Biden and 70 million people voted for Trump. It was literally split down to half. So it's like, how can you be hopeful when it's half of them saying you don't matter or your life is not valued? So it's super hard. And then also when we go back to our community, when, like you guys alluded to, when the community isn't strong enough, and then Lorenzo, man, you worked in the same pocket, so we understand going to a space where that kid may not be receptive to the information you're trying to lace him with. So you're like, damn, why you don't want to take this? I'm trying to give you free gems, bro. Like, I'm trying, but you ain't taking it. So it's a super hard battle, and you're doing this. You're sandpaper, you're friction, and you're hoping that he catch it, but he won't. So that's why it's always good for me to see like Keyshawn, like one of the few kids I had that took to some of the messages that I was trying to lace him with. So, but it's like you said, you can't save them all, and I had to learn that dealing with a lot of my friends. Like, damn, that's the saddest thing ever. So it's kind of hard to have hope when you say things like that, and it's so true and it's so woven into our community that you can't save them all. And it's people who know they want to be saved, but they just like, no, not today, bro. Fuck with me next week. Fuck with me next week. I ain't with all that shit. And it's like, damn, you don't want this. You don't want this opportunity. So it's super hard to have hope when things are not aligned right. You know, so hopefully if we do the work, you know, in our own respective communities, the next generation or the generation after that can see some of those strawberries and berries from the tree that we planted, and they can eat those and hopefully plant it again for somebody else.